I'm from a small town in northern New Jersey. It's called Maywood. Um, it's near a couple big cities. People may know, like Hackensack, New Jersey, which, if you watch Superman, the original movie, um, you would know that I believe that is where the missile was to be shot, to Hackensack. And there's some rumor that I heard that the reason for that is one of the writers is from New Jersey or went to Hackensack High School, something about that. But I was born in New Jersey. My parents divorced when I was about 3. Um, my mom won custody of me because my grandmother helped her. My father is a useless piece of shit. Excuse my language, but that's what he is. I'm actually the only of 5 children of his that he lost custody of. I lived with my grandmother. I grew up in her house. At the time, living there was her youngest son, who was my uncle. He was 3 years older than me at the time, or I mean at the time, right? He's 3 years older than me. Um, I didn't have a horrible childhood. I wasn't really beat or abused in any way. I guess the only abuse really kind of was mental abuse, I guess, because, I think sometimes people do it. They don't mean to do it, but it just happens. My grandmother obviously favored her own son over her grandson. So, even though he's older than me, and of course he would get things before me, like any normal, kid that's younger, I would get the hand me downs. But there were different things, like I was into something and he would get it. When computers started coming out, I was into computers. He wasn't. He ended up getting a super expensive computer, and he had really no interest in computers. Um, so things like that. He would always get something a little bit better. He would be put in a better school, private school. I went to public school, which now as an adult, I think public school is better than private schools. I have my kids in public school. They happen to be charter schools, or in California they're called distinguished schools, but they're still public schools, and I think they're better than private. Um, my mom is what I call a weekend warrior. She would come by and see me some weekends. Um, she got remarried. I don't know, maybe I was 6 or 7, I think. And she was remarried to a guy named Ted. Um, and, he figured he was marrying a woman who had a kid, but the kid didn't live with her. So, he definitely wasn't the type of person who should ever have kids. And thankfully, he never had any of his own. Because he definitely didn't know how to deal with kids. I can remember there was one time when I was, I'll say I was 10 years old. And I asked my mom, as any normal kid does, for some money. I wanted to go to the movies with my friends and to play video games and things like that weekend. So I asked my mom for $20. That may not seem like a lot, but, back in 83, $20 got you to movies, popcorn, soda, all that jazz, and then video games at the arcade there. So I asked her for the money. She said she would drop it off. What she would do when she would drop me off money or stuff, she would put an envelope and she would put it in the mailbox that was outside of the house where I lived. And then on my way to school or whatever, I would grab the envelope and I would have the money. And so I guess what happened was her husband dropped her off at work and then went to drop off some money before he went to work. And so I got the envelope, and inside the envelope was the money and a note. And the note read, Why don't you get a job, you fucking bum? And now this is a note that was written by my mom's husband, which is her second husband, Ted. And he wrote this to a 10-year-old boy. Get a fucking job, you bum. Or get a job, you fucking bum. I don't know how many 10-year-olds in 1983 were working jobs. I know that I was probably 11 or 12 before I started a paper route. But to tell a little kid to get a job when he's asking his mother for money, and the fact that you don't even take care of this kid, is pretty unacceptable. So that was pretty interesting. I actually didn't read the note until after school, and after school I went to my uncle Victor's house, and Victor was like the cool guy. You know, in school, he was the cool guy growing up. He was a wrestler. He was into track, and so, you know, he was like my cool uncle. Always, you know, with the ladies and everything like that. And I went to his house after school. You know, instead of going to like a daycare or something like that, I went to his house and would hang out with him. And he saw the note. Then I told him, I said, "Oh, look at this crazy note." And he wanted to kill Ted. He really did. He wanted to beat the crap out of the guy. And then his brother, my other uncle Andrew, I think talked him out of that. But it was just, I mean, after that point, you know, Ted, who had been liked or somewhat put up with by everybody else in the family, was now hated. So nobody liked him after that point. And all the times that I had said, you know, this guy's a jerk to me, nobody ever listened until that point. So it was probably one of the first times that my family actually stuck up for me. I've had a lot of instances where they don't even believe me. Of course, as any kid, I probably lied a lot. But that was just a crazy thing that happened. And you know, that was kind of how my mom was. There were a lot of times where I would sit on the porch waiting for my mom to pick me up on a Saturday, because she had said earlier in the week that she was going to pick me up and she would take me to the mall. We would go to a restaurant to eat. There was a restaurant called Friendly's. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it was a great little restaurant. Mom would take me there, take me to the mall. I don't think I'd really get anything. Maybe sometimes I'd get a small toy from like Woolworths or some toy store there. But mostly it was just to spend time with my mom, which is what I liked. I really didn't care. Even though I was a kid, I really didn't care about the toys. I cared about spending time with my mother. And you could tell the whole time that her husband hated these things. But I clearly remember this one time I was very excited to go to the mall with my mom. We were actually going to get something to eat, and she was going to take me to the movies, which is rare because she's not really into watching movies or seeing movies. So it was a rare event for her to tell me this. And I waited and waited, and I remember it was, I don't know, I probably started waiting at 10 in the morning, and I remember it was 5 or 6 o'clock, and my Uncle Andrew was telling me, you know, come on inside, and, you know, let's watch some TV or something like that, and you know, he had to sit me down and explain to me that she wasn't going to show up. And I remember just crying and crying. Start now. But, you know, I remember crying into his arms and asking him, you know, why? How can she do this? Why would she do this to me? And, excuse me. I haven't really talked about this before. Excuse me. And he really, I mean, he had no answer other than, sometimes he just said, sometimes grown-ups get busy. Um, and he did whatever he could for me. So, I am so sorry, but not thinking about this in 30 years. Wow. I didn't think it would have this kind of effect on me. But anyway, so, he did everything he could. Andy was, or is, hold on. It's hard for me. Andy is, I guess I could say that I guess I could say Andy was or is, I don't know what to say. Andy stepped up to be my father when I didn't have any father figure in my life. So, shit. So, Andy, my uncle, he stepped up to be my father, really, or be my father figure. Or, I could say he stepped up to be the man. Because I had no real father figure. And even though I had grown up in the house and, Andy had always taught me things, worked with me with my homework, I never thought of him as a father. I never thought of him as a father until that day. And since that day, for the last 30 years almost, I've treated him as my father. And I love him for that. I'm sorry, it's pretty tough. Oh, I'm so sorry. But, and, I love him for that. And when Father's Day comes, I send him a card. I always make sure that birthday comes around, he gets a birthday, I give him a good birthday gift. Christmas, I give him a gift. A lot of times when you get older, and you go to your family for Christmas, it tends to be about the kids. Sure, we've all heard, Christmas is just about the kids. We're just going to get the kids gifts. I always make sure that I have something for him. And I'm always thinking of, when I see stuff, oh, that would be good for Andy. I have a great relationship with him. So I go over his house, and I love his family, his wife, his kids, very close to them. And I go there, and I set up his computers, I set up his TVs, I set up all his electronics, entertainment. I set all that up, and I love doing it because I love spending time with him. Because he raised me, he took care of me. He made me a better person. I can only imagine the kind of person I would be if I had lived with my father, or if I had lived with my mother. I'm sorry, but that took a lot out of me. So I'll continue these if you like them, if you want to hear them. Actually, turns out to be kind of therapy for me. I broke down, and I just haven't thought about that stuff in a long time. And I haven't thought about how much I love my family in a long time. So, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this part. And if you do, just let me know, and I will continue to make them. So, that's it for now.